What is an IEP? This is one of the most important acronyms that parents have to understand, an individual educational plan. And I said before, and excuse the typo on the word exceptional there, the IEP must be developed, and I should underline the word must be developed, for your exceptional child in consultation with you. Let me say that one again. The IEP must be developed for your exceptional child in consultation with you. Parents and guardians must be consulted by the school board when the IEP is being developed. Notice the word that's being used, in consultation with you. There's some argument around what that word means, but I'll be perfectly clear about what it doesn't mean. An IEP is the responsibility of the school board, not the responsibility of the parent. And although some of the processes in education can be appealed by parents, the IEP is something that cannot be appealed by a parent. But let's go on. The IEP must include specific educational expectations, so exactly what we expect the child to be learning, either in a modified or in an accommodated program, and we'll talk about that in a minute. They must include an outline of the special ed program and services that will be received. So some of the examples I talked about for children who are learning disabled or blind or deaf or hard of hearing, and they require some of those specialized services with the access to resource teachers, that must be outlined in the IEP. Some indication about the methods of how your child's progress will be reviewed and assessed, and also the transition plan must be included. As I speak, this fourth bullet is actually incorrect, because now transition plans are required for all exceptional students, not just those students who are 14 years of age or older. So excuse me for that error in this fourth bullet. Transition plans are appropriate for all students who are exceptional. The IEP must be completed within 30 days after your child has been placed in the special education program, and that's 30 school days. And the principal must ensure that you receive a copy of the IEP. And I know that sometimes there's some disagreement around how that process works. But basically, that's what an IEP is, and some are longer and some are shorter than others, but they must have these ingredients for it to be an effective IEP. The IEP requires one signature only, and that's the principal's signature. It does not require a parent's signature. The parent may sign to attest to the fact that they have been consulted in the formulation, but the IEP can be implemented without the parent agreeing to it. Probably not the best practice, but nevertheless. Let's get back to this whole IPRC process and how the IPRC meeting can be requested or asked for. And there are two ways of doing that. First of all, the principal of your child's school must request an IPRC meeting for the child upon receiving your written request. So if the parent in writing requests an IPRC meeting for their child, the principal of the child's school must put in place an IPRC meeting. The principal may request an IPRC meeting with written notice to you and refer your child to an IPRC when the principal and the child's teacher or teachers believe that the child may benefit from a special education program. So perhaps the child is in a grade 2 or 3 program, and the child's learning difficulties have not become too apparent to the mother or father at home, although I'm not sure how that could possibly happen. The principal may request for that child to present to the IPRC, but only after giving you written notice. The third bullet refers to within 15 days of receiving your request or giving you notice, the principal must provide you with a copy of a parent's guide to the IPRC, which every school board has developed, and a written statement of approximately when the IPRC will meet. So let's just review that again. The principal must organize an IPRC upon receiving your written request, and they must do that within 15 days of receiving your written request. Or the principal may organize the IPRC with written notice to you because they or the teacher believes that your child may benefit from a special ed program. And within 15 days of receiving your request or giving you notice, you must receive from school a copy of the Parent's Guide to the IPRC and a written statement of approximately when the IPRC will meet. So those are pretty important factors. The question, may parents attend an IPRC meeting, seems sort of self-explanatory, and the answer is of course, all the way back to the very first days of IPRC. Regulation 181/98 entitles parents and pupils 16 years of age or older to be present at and to participate in all committee discussions about that child, and to be present when the committee's identification and placement decision is made. So the answer to, may parents attend an IPRC meeting, absolutely. In fact, they're entitled to, as is a pupil or a student who is 16 years of age or older. The question as to, besides the parents and the child, who else may attend an IPRC meeting is an important one, and we often get requests from parents, can they bring along a friend, an advocate, and the answer is absolutely. Other individuals who may attend include obviously the principal of your child's school, other resource people such as your child's teacher or special ed resource staff, board support staff, or the representative of an agency who may provide further information or clarification, and as well your representative, that is a person who may support you or speak on behalf of you or your child. If there is a need for an interpreter, if one is required, you may request the services of an interpreter through the principal of your child's school, and this includes sign language interpreters as well as interpreters of other languages. It's really important for parents to make sure they understand all of what's being said, and if language is an issue, the school board will provide the interpreter. So hopefully this answers that question that parents quite often ask. Can they bring a representative? And the answer is absolutely yes. Having said all this, I need to make a really strong point that the first thing I, as principals of program special education, do with my principal colleagues is try to instruct them on how to run a collegial, comfortable, and successful IPRC meeting. And stressing the fact that IPRC meetings are not the place for anger and for finger pointing, and that goes for parents as well, and that goes for representatives and advocates as well. So we need to know that we're here working for the best interests of the child, but of course a representative or an advocate is more than welcome at the IPRC to speak on behalf of you or the child. This page usually elicits some questions, and here I am waiting for the questions, but of course I won't hear them, which is kind of interesting. On we go to the next one. Who may request that other people attend? Obviously the parent may request, or the principal of the child's school may make a request for the attendance of others at the IPRC meeting. And I always find that these requests are best put in writing, and it's best that neither side be surprised by the presence of a third party at the IPRC meeting. So if the mom or dad is going to have an advocate or somebody, a representative to speak with them, it's courteous to let the school know. And if the school is going to have somebody else, it's courteous to let the parents know. And I think courtesy plays a large role in any meeting around a child's educational program. In terms of what information the parents will receive about the IPRC meeting, these timelines are pretty important because it's really quite imperative that we make every effort to have parents be able to attend these meetings. So at least 10 days, which is 2 school weeks before the meeting, the chair of the IPRC, who is quite often the principal, will provide you with written notification of the meeting and an invitation to attend the meeting as an important partner in considering your child's placement. This letter will tell you of the date, the time, and the place of the meeting, and it will ask you to indicate whether you will attend. It's very important for schools to try to locate these meetings in a time that's suitable for parents to attend. I know in today's world many mothers and fathers have kids and both parents work, And 10 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday is perhaps not the best time to hold an IPRC meeting. So I think it's important that the school make a real effort to make that meeting at a date and time that's suitable for everybody, including the parents. But you will get a letter to notify you of the date, the time, and the place of the meeting, and it will ask you to indicate whether you will attend. This is really important. You need to know, you need to let the school know that yes, you can attend, or no, you are not able to attend. And again, before the IPRC meeting begins, you will receive a written copy of any information about your child that the chair of the IPRC has received. So any results of assessments, summaries of information, reports from other professionals, reports from different resource teachers, you have to have a copy of that before the meeting begins. Again, the meeting is not a time or place for surprises, so assessment results need to be shared beforehand. What happens if parents cannot attend the scheduled meeting for whatever reason? If you are unable to make the scheduled meeting, you may, probably should, contact the school principal to arrange an alternative date or time, or you can let the school principal know that you will not be attending, and as soon as possible after the meeting, that principal will send to you for your consideration and signature the IPRC's written statement of decision, looking at the identification and placement and any recommendations regarding special ed programs and services. I would strongly recommend and urge that parents try to arrange, to look at bullet number 1, try to arrange an alternative date or time if they are unable to attend the scheduled meeting date and time. I think it's absolutely imperative to have the parents, guardians at the IPRC meeting. I've already said that it's not a time for surprises, and this is surely the place where we don't want to be surprising each other. What actually will happen at the IPRC meeting, and I hope what will happen in a very cordial, courteous, and friendly manner, hopefully the chair will introduce everyone to the purpose of the meeting. And again, the purpose of the meeting is to identify the child and to, I'm just getting some pop-ups here, and to place child in a suitable educational program. The IPRC will review all available information about your child. They will consider an educational assessment for your child. Obviously, if there's something like a psychoeducational assessment, that's important. It mentions here also that subject to the provisions of the Healthcare Consent Act of 1996 and subsequent legislation, a psychological assessment of your child conducted by a qualified practitioner is required to make a correct identification or placement decision. So quite often some of these kinds of assessments by other professionals are required. For example, to identify a child as being learning disabled, we do need to have a psychoeducational assessment, which is a pretty heavy-duty formal battery of tests carried out through a psychologist, usually at the school board. Also to identify a student, for example, as having a communications exceptionality, autism, there needs to be a diagnosis of autism made by a qualified health practitioner, usually a child psychiatrist, child pediatrician, developmental pediatrician, things like that. The IPRC will also interview your child with your consent if your child is less than 16 years of age, if the IPRC feels it would be useful to do so. And to be honest with you, I've chaired many IPRC committees, and quite often it's wonderful to hear from the students if it's appropriate to have the students there. To make sure that they understand what the assessment is about and to make sure they begin to understand what their exceptionality is all about. The IPRC will also consider any information that you submit about your child or that your child submits if he or she is 16 years of age or older. So this is sort of what happens at the IPRC meeting, but let me underline again that this should happen in a friendly, cordial, courteous manner. Not too long and drawn out. I find that most IPRC meetings go about 45 minutes, sometimes half an hour, but certainly more than an hour is tough, and also tough to take away from the time that everybody has. But again, the most important parts are these bullets here in terms of the information that they will review and information that can be provided.